if there was another alternative that was easy to do, which there's not, whether it's picking the person or the process, because we really haven't done this,
Yeah.
but also the fact that the alternative is Donald Trump. So as much as there might be a lot of wishes for the way things would have been, or things changed over months before, it's too late for a lot of the wishes. They've got Donald Trump now, and we're getting closer to the election, and so that's going to foreclose a lot of other options that they might have had a number of months ago, but I don't think they have now. And
Okay.
so they're trying to figure that out.
Thanks for joining us.
Great to be here. Thank you.
Jim, what do you think America's allies would have made of that debate on Thursday?
Well, I think they were probably as shocked as we were here in the United States. I think Joe Biden's speaking ability and his ability to put two words together and have gaffes every now and then, that's part of who he is. I mean, that's pretty well known. But I think, like in the U.S., I think our allies, to actually see that on stage and the magnitude of it during such a crucial time and the political season, having this debate take place, I think they were pretty shocked and alarmed, and I am sure it's going to really rev up the engines in a lot of European capitals, saying we need to Trump-proof NATO. We need to really try to get our European act together, because if this is going to be a harbinger of what the future could look like, we might really have to deal with Trump. So I think this was a bit of an alarm in a lot of allied capitals.
Will there be anger amongst senior Democrats who are perhaps outside the Joe Biden circle, who have constantly been reassured that actually Joe Biden is very alert, he's doing his job as should be expected, and actually behind the scenes he's not as old and frail looking as what we've been accustomed to seeing in his TV appearances recently? How will that performance have gone down, do you think, with top Democrats who are outside Biden's circle?
Well, that's happening right now among senior Democrats. I mean, within the first 30 seconds of the debate, emails were shooting around the U.S. Among these senior Democrats, and it kind of runs the gamut from total panic. We need to have a new team go in, all the way to senior Democrats saying, "Look, this is just one bad debate. This is just one bad day." And then those who know better what it looks like behind the curtain there at the White House, who say that, well, look, there's good days and there's bad days. And unfortunately, we hit a bad day on the debate. But the next day in North Carolina, there was another Joe Biden on stage, and that was a good day. And he revived a lot of the enthusiasm among some Democrats that, in fact, what we saw that night of the debate wasn't the day-by-day Joe Biden.
But it was a day where he's a friendly crowd. He doesn't have to think about particular information, riposte lines to some of Trump's lines. He's happily reading off his auto cue, or perhaps he wasn't, but completely different circumstances, though. Is it fair to compare the two, Jim?
It absolutely is, because Joe Biden gets juiced up in front of an audience. They like many speakers do. That inspires them, that gives them confidence, it gets them on a roll. And during the debate, there was not an audience in that room. I think Jill Biden was there, and that was about it. And then, of course, when you're giving a speech like he has with notes in front of him, and I'm sure he was just riffing off of his notes, it's easier to do that in front of a friendly crowd than to have Donald Trump, just standing next to him. And as Biden said, it's hard to debate a liar. And you had Trump just spewing these lies. And I think that was just, you combine what you just pointed out. There's not an audience. He's having to handle issues, and he's dealing with a liar. That's very hard to have a good day or a good debate with that kind of setup for you.
Yeah. Jim, let's briefly talk about this idea that perhaps Joe Biden doesn't make it to the ticket on the November election. Contrary to the atmosphere, I have to say, President Barack Obama has definitely put a tweet out that's sort of circling the wagons around Joe Biden, support for Joe Biden coming from very senior figures from the Democrats. But will there be serious discussions and serious efforts made to convince Joe Biden to possibly step down before November's election? Is that kind of chat an operation happening right now in the White House?
Well, I'm not sure about the White House, but around the White House, I think among very wealthy donors, other key supporters, including Presidents Clinton and Obama, people who are not in the White House, obviously, but they are highly influential with those who are inside. There has been that discussion, but I think from what I've been able to pick up, it looks like that discussion was more intense in the hours that followed the debate. I think it's beginning to trail off a bit. I think the Obama tweet that you mentioned was making that point that everyone has a bad debate. Obama did, and that we can't just grab that one bad debate and kick the candidate out.
But this
So
isn't
I
one. This isn't a
think,
one-off, though, Jim, is it? This is sort of an amalgamation of performances that haven't been quite convincing, and then on the night where it was an opportunity to do away from all those concerns, well, it was the worst night of them all.
well, I mean, you're right. It kind of put
This
into
wasn't
one
just a
place.
one-off.
Right. What it was a summation of all the bits and pieces
Yeah.
that you've heard squeaked out over time. Like, that all kind of came together that night in front of the television camera, standing next to Donald Trump. And so you're absolutely right. It wasn't just a vanilla debate. This was a crucial one to make a crucial point, which wasn't so much policy as much as it was Joe Biden and his age and this type of thing. And unfortunately, on that important point, it didn't do the trick. And so what's happening now, going back to your original question, is they're trying to figure out what makes the most sense and what does Joe Biden want to do, because he's not going to sit there and just roll over. He's a very stubborn man, so I've been told. And so it's going to have to be a lot more evidence than just that one
Right.
debate. And finally, last point though is if there was another alternative that was easy to do, which there's not, whether it's picking the person or the process, because we really haven't done this,
Yeah.
but the fact that the alternative is Donald Trump. So as much as there might be a lot of wishes for the way things would have been, or things changed over months before, it's too late for a lot of the wishes. They've got Donald Trump now, and we're getting closer to the election, and so that's going to foreclose a lot of other options that they might have had a number of months ago, but I don't think they have now. And
Okay.
so they're trying to figure that out.
Jim, thank you for your time and your expertise. Really fascinating speaking to you. Jim Townsend there, former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defence for European and NATO Policy.